Rooftoppers Chapter 23. Right, so they're still on their way to the cathedral to listen for Sophie's mum. Yeah? 23. They reached the neighbourhood of the station just before 2 o'clock in the morning. The rooftops had grown steadily lower as they had moved away from Notre Dame, and the others were on edge and anxious. Twice they had to cross a road between buildings. Matteo, Gerard, and Safi jumped from a cedar tree to a lamppost and swung effortlessly to the drain pipe on the far side. Anastasia and Sophie slid down one drain pipe, ran across the road, and grasped the next pipe. It had handholds at regular intervals, but there is nothing like climbing a drain pipe at night to remind you just how dark can be. The five came to rest on the roof of a school. The four rooftoppers sat alert in a square, facing outwards. Sophie sat a little to one side. She held her breath and prayed. She whispered to herself, "Please, please let me find her." Her heart was thumping hard enough to break, but the words sounded too small and thin in the night air. Sophie clenched her fists and sat on them. An hour passed. Sophie grew restless. None of the rooftoppers had spoken. They had not moved a muscle. At last she whispered, "Can I ask you a question?" Matteo grunted. Gerard said, "Of course you can. What? What happens when rooftoppers grow up?" "Oh," said Matteo, "I thought you were going to ask about toilets." Gerard said, "Mostly they go down to the ground, but they still lead wildest sort of lives. It's easier to be a wildish sort of adult than a child." Anastasia sniffed haughtily at Cleopatra. "Especially," she said, "if you happen to be a boy." "And have there been others," said Sophie, "in the past?" Anastasia said no, just as Matteo said yes. "Yes," he said again, "I think so. Look, I found this on my roof. When I first moved there, Matteo took from his pocket a small knife. It was ornate and heavy. See the handle? It looked at least 100 years old. On the handle, finger grooves were clearly visible. The hand that had made them was smaller than Sophie's. "Whose was it?" she asked. "Some kid," he shrugged. "A clever kid. I found it wrapped in rope. Rope is the best way to store a knife. Not everyone knows that. Did you ever go looking for them?" Sophie thought. She would have, if it had been her. Why didn't they come back for it? No, it was rusted a centimetre thick. It must have been years ago. "What do you think happened to them?" He shrugged into the night. "Maybe they got caught. Maybe they went south. The sun is hotter in the south and there's less people." Sophie said, "How many do you think there are? How many rooftoppers?" Gerard said, "I would guess more than 10, less than 100. The girls nodded. Safi held out 10 fingers and thumbs, closed her fists, opened them again. Anastasia said, "I think that's right. About 20 or 30. I see shadows sometimes. I think there's probably someone living on the Louvre." They fell silent again. 2 hours passed by. Sophie sat with her ears stretched wide. No carriers appeared. There was no music. By 5 in the morning, Sophie was cold and tired enough to weep. "We should go," said Matteo. He knelt and dusted off his backside. "The sun's coming up." He stood. "Wait!" Gerard pulled him down. "1 second. Listen." "Cello?" Sophie snapped alert, and she balled her fists. "Carriers or music. Can you hear her?" "No, neither, but listen." The rooftop was very still. Far away and down the road there was a sound that might have been a horse, or someone coughing, or nothing at all. Then a cloud appeared, a grey cloud which span and zagged across the sky. Anastasia breathed. "Birds!" Sophie said, "Starlings?" The air was suddenly thick with them. There were 500, 1,000. Their wings hummed and they swooped down over the rooftoppers, heads as fearlessly as if the children were a cluster of chimney pots. "They're like a ballet," said Sophie. "Maybe," said Matteo. "I don't know ballet. They're like starlings." "What do you call a group of starlings?" whispered Sophie. "You call them starlings, don't you?" said Anastasia. "I don't know what you mean." "Like a flock of crows is called a murder. A group of owls is a parliament." "Oh, je comprende. I know. Though, I don't know though. A ballet of starlings," said Sophie. They spoke without moving anything, not even their lips. The birds circled and dived. Each time they came near, Sophie gasped. The others did not, but Sophie couldn't help it. It felt high day holiday miraculous. What? It felt high day holiday miraculous. It felt like an omen. Her heart was hot and enormous. "An army of starlings," said Matteo. "A tornado of starlings," said Gerard. "An avalanche of starlings," said Sophie. "A fountain of starlings," said Anastasia. "A sunray of starlings." The boys snorted, but Sophie said, "Yes, I like that. An orchestra of starlings." "A rooftop of starlings," said Matteo.